and not external movement. You're doing an internal process which can produce lots of different external examples, external manifestations. Understand? This is kind of biomechanics. This is karate principles, not karate shapes. So, this is what I'm seeing. Although everybody's moving quite nicely, we're moving with two hands. This is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing some people who are doing, okay, one hand, but you're still doing the movement of two hands. If you're going to completely rotate and completely execute, then use two hands, because you have time to. Understand? I'm also seeing people go, oh, wait, one hand. I don't have to do anything. Okay, the truth should be somewhere in between. Of course you're whipping your hip. Of course you're plunging your lats to produce this get on right. But at no point are you over-dramatically doing it. We only over-dramatically do it when we use two hands and this is in whatever process. We'll decide to use this hand before doing this hand. But now we're not. We're only using this hand. So of course, add power to it and whip before you release. Whip, release. What's that? You get a hip movement, shave it off, shave it off, shave it off, shave it off, until it just becomes a vibration. That's still the essence of the movement. Okay? Until eventually you just get to thinking about one point. Your sensor, yeah? Your hip. Your sensory gravity. Tandem, jumps called tandem, yeah? So we get to think, we should only be thinking about that point. But still, even up to high grades, people are thinking about their extremities, thinking about the punching hand. So I just want you to try to kind of counteract this a little bit, and there we go. So, for now, I just want you to think about your hikite hand. So when people punch Gakuzuki, they'll probably be thinking about, certainly this hand, then probably this shoulder and this hip. I want you to try to address the back, so just hand it down. So I just want you, hikite means pulling hand. So I literally want you to pull, so you're going to pull out of my grip and make Gakuzuki. This way, yeah, understand. So they hold and then this way. Hold and this way. That's all you're doing, yeah? For now you're adding a little bit, not, go for it, like this, not like this, yeah? Just enough to make it worthwhile. Understand? So from here, this is the focus. And if this is the focus, then this quantum contraction is the focus, which then only leads to your center. Understand? It's not about this expansive part, because this should just be relaxed. This should be a natural consequence of what's happening here. Understand? So from here, it's this tension, this is relaxed, this way. This way. You're pulling this way. And this is just whipping out. Not flicking, of course, whipping correct form, but relaxed. Okay? So we can polish one more. Not too much, not too little. That's it, yes. Strong, you can say, it's very difficult to hold it. Right. You reach, like, if I explain this way, I can hold onto my shoulders this way, but if I snap, I can get much farther out. Understand? So it's that kind of tension point in the ass. If I stop, I can barely get to the outer edge of my shoulders. Understand? It's that kind of relaxed, snapping feeling. So then what, I taught Liam this, and then what he started doing was this. He was kind of almost artificially trying to mimic the movement by pulling it back. It shouldn't be about you pushing forward and pulling back. That's like kicking my area, like pushing it out, pulling it back in. We don't, we just snap, yeah? So I want this to only be the focus, this to only be the focus. He reaches that apex of contraction and it naturally has to release. So just only think, snap. Okay. Kind of just rotating, and you're not squeezing. You want to try to get this tension. Squeeze. Squeeze here. Squeeze, and then release. Understand? It's this, like if you get a rubber ball, the harder you throw it on a wall, the harder it will bounce back. It's that analogy. Problem is that some people aren't trying to create that tension at all. You're just kind of lobbing it. You know, you're not getting that compression to release. people, you're throwing it against the brick wall, and the brick wall's falling down. So you're going from this point, and you're squeezing up, you've lost your centre. You have to keep this tucked in, squeeze, and then release. Understand? And make sure you do it from the beginning. It's not slowly winding up, slowly winding up, then faster go. No, from the beginning, stop, and then release. Understand? It's that, relax, boom, go. Okay? Your understand? Back, yeah? This squeeze, release, then one more time. You're only getting this contraction, your hip is coming completely back, and then driving in again. So this wind up, release, one more time. Not too much, yeah? I don't need you to do that, yeah? Because the first one, you go from a still position. So you need that wind up. You want to maximize. For the second one, you're only coming back halfway back, but you have residual power from the first technique. So the second one should be as powerful as the first one. Although the first one you are completely winding up. Understand? So your first one, you're completely winding up, and then one more time. Maybe a little bit more than that. This squeeze, release, this fit.
Same time?
Same time? The last inch. That's a big difference.
You'd lift.
Should be released straight away after punch.
Say again?
Punch should be released straight away after punch. It should be hip is after punch.
Hip is after the punch. Well, so you're punching and then hip afterwards?
Oh no, you mean release.
This part? I'm talking about from this point, when is this going and when is this going? And what's the relationship between them both?
It should land at the same time.
Should land at the same time.
Maybe your hip goes a small bit first and then you move your arm with your hip.
Hip first, then hand?
No, your hand is going together.
Hang on! Fist first?
But if you go fist first, then aren't you leading with the fist?
Okay, well, I guess there's three options. Let's have that arranged. There's either same time,
Yeah,
hip first, or hand first.
same time.
Same time.
Who thinks same time? Who thinks hip first? Really? Okay. So your hip goes in and then your hand comes afterwards?
No. No way.
Who thinks hand first? Me. Case by case though, yeah? We're all different body types. But you have to be aware of what you're doing. To my understanding, my understanding of my body, now everyone's different, and that's the thing, yeah? So you must kind of take the idea and think what works for you. But your hand takes longer than your hip rotation. So you'll see an awful lot of people, and I'm seeing it now, an awful lot of people who squeeze and the hip is finished and the hand's still travelling. It's only by a small amount, of course. And you'll see an awful lot in kind of, especially dare I say, WKF kata, where you're getting people who are this thing, and the hip is finished and the hand's still going. So that means that on moment of impact, there's no power connected to that hand, because your body's stopped. So you have speed, but you don't have weight. Understand? So you have to think about how you're releasing your hand. So if you, for example, if you're doing Gakazuki, often this initial movement is then finished with your hip, so that your hip is still traveling on the moment of impact. Understand? Yes. You'll see an awful lot of people. I'm exaggerating, of course, but that kind of movement. And what they're doing is their hip is moving and then the hand's going afterwards. Or at least finishing afterwards. Maybe they're starting at the same time, but the hip finishes and then the hand finishes afterwards. Understand? Yes. But it's case by case. Some people have very big hip movements. Some people have small hip movements. And generally, if you've got stiff hips and your hand and hip are starting at the same time, definitely your hand will finish later. Okay? But then, you have this. Like people are doing this. People are kind of going, what are they doing? You're kind of going, 1, 2. And then this is nice. Because your hand's here before your hip, as your hip starts. You're making full rotation, and then you're coming back to full rotation, but not hand full. And then hip is driving with your hand. So this second punch is really nice. Hip and hand is perfectly synced. But the first one's not. And so this is about timing. There's no point going, dum, dum. Or you know, this kind of thing. It's literally a guy going, dum, dum, stepping, then punching, when of course everything should be same time. Okay? So with that in mind, well, if I make it a little bit farther away, then I know that I want to get this point just as I make this contact. So I have to delay it a little bit. You know, artificially getting it, it should be a kind of natural reaction. But as is, for example, if I was doing kind of kurosuki, if I was kind of, you know, hitting him like this, I would have to delay it even more. Start my hand early. Understand? It's not like a solar eclipse. Understand? Thanks, Humphrey. No. Let me explain. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun. The sun, by chance, is 400 times farther away from the Earth than the moon. So when the moon goes past the sun, we get a solar eclipse. Fits perfectly. Okay? It would be really nice if our hand, or our arm, was 400 times lighter than our body. But you'd have very skinny arms. Or that the distance that you're travelling is with your hip is 400 times shorter than the distance with your arm. But you'd have very long arms. That's not the case. So therefore, we have to always micromanage what we're doing. And make sure that at that impact point, whether it be Orozuki, Tattiken, Chokuzuki, Oyuzuki, Tobikonde Oyuzuki, that our hips are boom behind the impact point. You understand? And the only way that we can do that is by practicing lots of different things. With the underlying principle that when we make technique, knee, san, shi, go. Nice, you're around 180 degrees, so you have to think about how the time is going to be with your hand. You understand? But have this sense of each time, micro-adjusting it so at the kime point, your hips behind you. So you have this sense of squeeze, 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 in, from here, yeah? There's 1, 2, 1, 2, this way. So on that moment of impact, especially when you're turning, then everything's going in. It's not, straight away I can see people going, 1, 2. So your foot has finished, you're only turning, twisting. Maybe look sharp, it looks nice, but there's no transition power in. Got a sense that you're throwing your body in. So from here, you're squeezing, punching, really, punching it, throw in. This, from here, 1, 2, 3, finish. So my hand, foot, hip, everything finishes same time. Push. Understand? Not 1, 2, but this, kime, release, kime. This thing, yeah? If you fall over, great. If you lose your balance, great. If you get it slightly wrong, great. If you land in a perfect stance every single time, it's too safe. The same way. But as you change, punch Kizamizuki. Okay. Not this. All around the time. As you change stance, you're moving with the sensor, you're changing stance, and that's when the Kizamizuki goes in. So you just relax. Relax, Kizamizuki. Change, change, change. This way. Understand? Okay. Start the same foot movements. What you do, Kizamizuki Gachi. Understand? Okay, try. Again. Change. Kizamizuki after Gachi. Kizamizuki Gachi. Understand? Do it slow. Do it relaxed. But when you change, you're doing Kizamizuki, or Kizamizuki recover, Gatsuki change, Kizamizuki recover, Gatsuki change. Understand? Okay, Hajime! You're using residual energy. If you're not tensing your outer body, you're just using core muscles, you're keeping your upper body relaxed, and you're just snapping your technique. As soon as you start making the technique laboured, like too cumbersome, it's going to take energy. As soon as you're stalling and then you have to restart it again, it's going to take greater energy. Just like cycling. Do you know what I mean? Thank you, Liam. Like you see the Tour de France and or whatever, and you've got a lead cyclist, and unless you're Lance Armstrong, and then you can just go whatever you want. But like you lead cyclist, and he is using 100% of his power. Well, the 100%, the power that he's using, 100%. The person behind him is 90%. The person behind him is 80% of the original. The person behind him is 70% of the original. And so it goes on. Until the person right at the back is going freewheeling because he's just in the slipstream. That's what karate should be, constantly. Where the energy that you initially use is 100% of what you need. The next technique is 90. The next technique is 80. Until you're just literally coasting and then boom, 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 adding that power in, that vital kinetic point with your hips. You understand? Not every single time I'm struggling to make energy. You understand? Yeah. Okay, so last one. And then I'll give you a break. I won't finish the class. Last one, I just want you to think about how you're going to move across the dojo. Any technique. So you just any technique. We wouldn't have time, but we'll do some kata finish. I think important though is to realise that if there's one thing you take away is that there's no such thing as Kihon, basic technique. No such thing as Kihon Waza, basic technique. Yeah? They are just a means of teaching us basic core principles of what karate is. And actually, it's not only Shotokan core principles, it's actually all karate principles, it's actually all martial art principles. Yeah, right? So in last October, I went to Okinawa. I was training with a Shitoryu instructor and a Goju-ryu instructor, a 9th Dan Goju-ryu, a lovely guy. And I went to look for differences. What's the differences of Shotokan and what we did? I wanted to see what the